let's get physical. It's Jordan here, back again with this week's update on all the physical releases coming to the Nintendo Switch, January 6th until the 10th, week 2 of January. Hope you all had a happy new year. As always, we're taking a look at all the physical retail releases, all the low print games up for order, some juicy imports, and our spotlight section, including our new community spotlight, which, due to the low amount of games this week, will be a big part of this video. Remember, if you want to show your support to this little series, leave us a comment with what you are playing in your backlog and what is the most recent addition to your collection. Personally, well, Chinese Customs finally released my copy of Deadly Premonitions. Yes, it's been in Chinese Customs for about a month, so I'm very happy that it's arrived and straight into the backlog. I have too many games, too little time. Hopefully one day I'll get around to playing this cult classic B-movie type game. I did have it on the 360, but I didn't get too far into it. It was during my gaming hiatus, so that happened quite often with games around that time. Did anyone else pick up this physical release, or perhaps when it came out digitally first? Alright, let's get on with this week's physicals. Well, there are no actual retail releases this week, so let's head into the low print games. I mentioned last week that Super Rare Games were planning on announcing their January game very soon. Lo and behold, they did. So they left a couple of clues beforehand, and I guessed it would be Citizens of Space. But I was completely wrong, and it turns out that it was Smoke and Sacrifice. I have to admit, this one seems to have flown under the radar for me, and I don't know anything about it. Researching it, it appears to be an open world story driven RPG with a peculiar art style. Not sure if I dig how it looks or not, but the gameplay appears to be solid enough, although nothing to get me particularly interested. Have any of you played this game before? Would you recommend picking this up as a physical? Anyways, it's Super Rare Games. There are 5,000 copies up for grabs with the order date as January 9th, shipping a few days later. Let's move on to imports, of which there is only one. But let's face it, even if there were others, this is the only one that matters. Super Robot Wars is getting another release on the Nintendo Switch in Japan and Asia. This time it's the second to latest title, Super Robot Wars X. Yes, even more turn-based strategy anime mech goodness. I'm a massive fan of the series and I can't wait for this to arrive on Friday. Hopefully I can get my hands on it beforehand to give you a review. It's very import friendly as it does have English on the cartridge, although the price may be a bit daunting. When it comes to imports for us, these are the pièce de résistance, as in top tier imports. Super Robot Wars T and V plus this one are going to be the holy trinity for me, I'm sure. Sure, if you had your fill of either of the other releases, you may not want to pick this one up, but if you do want it, then there is a link in the description and pinned comment as to where you can find it. If you use those links, then you'll help support the SwitchWatch team massively. You guys are always amazing with that, and we thank you very, very much. Also, just as a side note, many of you asked me about Super Robot Wars T. You know, when they brought out the Asian version, many people couldn't understand how to get the DLC. Well, you couldn't at that time. Well, heads up Super Robot Wars T owners, the Hong Kong eShop is properly up and running for you to get access to the DLC for that game. And as I'm sure you've worked out, that means you can also now pick up the game digitally in English for the first time. Well, as long as you figure out how to pay for it. Previously, the English release was exclusive to a physical input. If you want more info on juicy upcoming Switch imports, be sure to check out the video about interesting ones primed for the very early part of this year. Check that after this video, as there's plenty you'll need to be saving your money for if you're into RPGs such as myself. Alright, let's move on to the spotlight section where I choose a game at random in my collection to show off and talk about. Afterwards, we'll do the community spotlight. Now, how many episodes have we done so far? Well, it's getting to the point that I'm starting to forget what I've shown off already. I'm kind of old. I really need to go back and make a list of what I've shown off already, but I think I'm safe in saying that I've not talked about Battle Chef Brigade, which, if I'm going to be honest, is one of my all-time favorite indies on the Switch. And I really feel ashamed of myself for not telling Juan and James to put it on each of their top indies lists that they've both put together. It's easy for me to forget just how awesome this game is, mixing action platforming with a cooking game, and it works ridiculously well. I reviewed this for my old channel, and I just had to pick it up when Limited Run Games did a release of it. I haven't played it since, but just talking about it now is making me want to pick it up and play it another time. It's said that it's not widely available via retail, and that's what always makes me a little uncomfortable about low print games. I just feel like someone could randomly pick this up at GameStop or wherever you buy your games, and then just, get an absolute surprise treat. Sadly, that can't happen with this one, but perhaps if you can find it for a reasonable price on eBay, I would very much suggest this one for your collection. Alright guys, let's head into the community spotlight. You guys have been fantastic in sending in your pictures. Because it's so light on new games this week, let's have a nice extended look at what you ladies and gents have been adding to your collections. Anyways, let's start off with Paul Pope, who sent in 3 editions that he got. Layton's Mystery Journey with 2 subtitles that are just way too long. I'm curious as to how this puzzle game is on the Switch. I really enjoyed the first Layton game on the DS very much. Super Lucky's Tale, Juan really enjoyed this one on the Switch and rightly put it in his list of top games of 2019. A classic old school 3D platformer that feels very fresh. And the classic Shovel Knight Treasure Trove, perhaps the best value for your bucks that you can get, and the quintessential retro style action platformer. Bruno Silva showed off his collection. As we can see, the man is a fan of RPGs, a man of great taste. He himself particularly highlighted the latest editions for Christmas, which were the Final Fantasy 7 and 8 double pack. Love it. Glad to see so many people picking this one up. Dragon Quest Trilogy, again a lovely import, retro RPG goodness with English. He also got the Lion King and Aladdin collection. I have a feeling that that one sold decently well actually, because I've seen many people with that. And Fire Emblem 3 Houses. Oh, how I wish I had the time to play that one more. Gary Brian Wells showed off his awesome looking limited run collector's edition of Celeste, a game that Juan adored when he reviewed it when it released. Tough as nails platformer with great mechanics and a real heart to it that many others lack. Of course, the Final Fantasy 7 and 8 double pack, loving it, so many people buying this one. If you want it for yourself, I'll pop a link below as to where you can find it. It will be an affiliate link, so it'll help the team out massively. Also, he showed off Umihara Kawase Fresh, which I'm surprised to see arrived in a Super Famicom style box, a great nod to the original game. Also, he showed off an awesome accessory that I had no idea existed, a Sega Saturn style gamepad that works with the Switch. It's from Retrobit, and I bet this is decent for some fighting games out there. Ryan Miller had some awesome additions, with one exceptional highlight. Firstly, Killer Queen Black, a rebuilt port for the Nintendo Switch. Personally, I don't quite get this, but I'm sure it's one of those that you have to play before you can actually get your head around it. Everyone who has played it says that it's like one of the best things since sliced bread, so I'm hoping I do find the chance to sample it myself one day. Crash Bandicoot Trilogy, exceptional value for money, great remakes of classic games. Time Spinner, I forgot that one got a limited run. I know Juan enjoyed that one in his review, but it's not something that I've had the time to try. Mario Tennis Aces, the sports series, back to its best, but forget all that because let's all stare jealously at that Mega Man box set. 5 cartridges in one. I mean, I don't even like Mega Man, but I want this bad boy. You get Mega Man Legacy Collection 1 and 2, Mega Man X Collection 1 and 2, and Mega Man 11. This is the only time that Legacy Collection 2 has actually been on a cartridge. Apparently it's sold out pretty much everywhere now, but I'll pop a link below if you want it for yourself. Perhaps by the time this video goes up, maybe it'll be back in stock. Who knows? Peter Clark sent in this lovely photo of some of his collection. How juicy is that? I'm not going to mention them all, just some highlights from me. Children of Morta. Juan loved that game. I know I've said that quite a lot. Highly recommended. Have Onimusha down there behind Child of Light. Yes, Japan got a physical copy of Onimusha with English on it if you fancy it. Link below. Same with Phoenix Wright Trilogy. Japanese physical, has English. Link below. Dusk Diver, love that game, check out my review, and an import Bonanza wouldn't be complete without Super Robot Wars T and Final Fantasy 7 and 8. Beautiful, that man Peter, he's got taste. Furific Fark, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, got some great gifts for Christmas. Shovel Knight, Dragon Quest, man I wish I had time for that beauty. Astral Chain, happy to see that getting some love, plus a couple of lovely Capcom imports, Phoenix Wright once again, and the masterpiece that is Okami. If you're looking to start your first steps into import games, Okami would be my suggestion. Not overly expensive or difficult to get, plus one of the best games ever made. It's an obvious starting point. The games at the top may not be so easy to see, but I think we've got Breath of the Wild, Mario Tennis Aces, Civilization 6, I always forget that has a physical, and Overcooked 2, although that could be the double pack, I can't say for sure. Either way, what a nice selection of games. Choco Loco James, I always remember that guy's comments, showed off his copy of I'm sorry, I always say that wrong, the M2 remake of an arcade classic. I believe this is the collector's edition too, I'm not sure. I've been eyeing this one up, but I personally can't afford it. It does look banging though, and I'm super jealous of those who have ordered it. I know it doesn't have English as standard, but you know, it's a shooter, and so it's not really essential. You just blow stuff up. If I'm ever lucky enough to find this for a reasonable price, I will certainly add this to my collection. And in a similar note, Merin M, Also got Esperade, I don't know, plus another import called Summer Pockets, which is a visual novel. Can't say I know too much about that one, but interesting to see someone picking up something so obscure. I really like that. And finally, we have Silver Knight, who kindly showed off their pickups for 2019. Firstly, the incredible Bloodstained Collector's Edition. I really enjoyed this game so much. Many people complained about the Switch port, but to be honest, it hardly bothered me one little bit. And much of it has been fixed, so I do highly recommend it. Good to see some top real quality releases in there too, some limited run stuff, a couple of excellent imports. I highly recommend Omega Labyrinth Life. If you ignore all the boobs that it shoves in your face, then you've got yourself a really decent mystery dungeon style game. Check out my review if I've piqued your interest, and I know that I have. And by the way, the more I see you guys with Slay the Spire, the more I'm tempted to take some antihistamines to brave my card game allergy. Thanks, ladies and gents, really appreciate you sending in your pictures. If you want to send in your recent additions, either 1 game or 5 games or 20 games, it doesn't matter, it's not a competition. Send it to me over on Twitter at SoWhatAboutGames, send me a DM, it's more easy for me to keep track of, or you can email it into us at contactus@switchwatch.co.uk. Just make sure you start the email title with Community Spotlight so that I don't miss it. Plus, we have a Discord, which I think I managed to set up, but I'm really old and I don't understand technology, so we'll have to see. There is a link in the description and pinned comment, so you can join the server. I don't know what it is, but you can join something, and maybe you can send your pictures to me. Right guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode of New Physicals, heavily focused on community due to the lack of new games of course, but if there are loads of new games in a particular week, I will balance it out, don't worry, it won't always be so heavy on community. We've just got to get through January guys. Be sure to check out last week's episode, not that you missed much, but anyways, James's Bargains video, that's awesome as always, and Top 15 Indies list, Part 2. Yes, apparently the first 15 wasn't enough from James, so now Juan has put his together, and who knows, maybe next month I will make another Top 15. I'll see you guys over there, take care.